Hello everyone, welcome to the Lumion software tutorial. In this lesson, we're going to quickly and simply learn how to work with the Lumion rendering engine so you can use it for your projects. When the initial Lumion screen opens, you'll see various options. With Benchmark, you can check your system specs to see how powerful your computer is. In the Examples section, you can view some sample cases, and with the Create New option, you can open a new file. I'll start by using the example option and select one of the ready-made presets. For example, this one. Very good. As you can see, we've entered the Lumion environment, which is very simple and attractive, and we're going to explore it together. On this side, you can see different options. To save your file while working on a project, use the Save option. The Build Photo option is for rendering, which takes you into the rendering space when you click on it. As you can clearly see, we've now successfully entered the dedicated rendering space, which is a crucial area that we will thoroughly explore and explain in much greater detail later on in this comprehensive tutorial. To return to our primary project space, I will simply click on the Build option once more. Great. Now let's delve into the various methods for effectively moving around within this expansive three-dimensional space. You can conveniently utilize the specific hotkeys that I will meticulously explain to you. Press the W key to smoothly move forward, the S key to gracefully move backward, the A key to precisely move left, and the D key to accurately move right. To ascend, press the Q key, and to descend, press the E key. These are the fundamental Viewport navigation tools that will greatly assist you. You also have the option to navigate by continuously holding down the right mouse button and simultaneously moving your mouse. While you are actively moving, for instance, if you hold down W to advance forward but perceive the current speed to be too slow for your needs, you can then hold down the Shift key concurrently to significantly increase your movement speed. If you desire to move even faster, for example, while you are holding both S and Shift, also hold down the space bar at the very same time. Your movement speed will then dramatically increase, making it exceptionally easy and efficient to traverse the entire space. If your objective is to orbit around a particular object of interest, you should utilize the distinct marker located precisely in the center of the viewport. If this marker is positioned directly on the object you wish to orbit, hold down the O key, and while still holding the right mouse button and moving the mouse, you will be able to smoothly orbit around that specific object. Located up here is the comprehensive layering section of Lumion, which is designed to be exceptionally simple and remarkably user-friendly. These layers are instrumental in helping you meticulously categorize various objects much like you would in other familiar software applications, and you can effortlessly turn items on or off as you can clearly observe here. I will also provide a detailed explanation of how to effectively work with these layers, but if you find yourself in need of a brand new layer, you can easily create one right here and then rename it by simply clicking on it. For instance, I will proceed to name this new layer Layer A, and you can then utilize it as per your specific requirements. Now, I will proceed to delete this particular layer since it is no longer needed for our current demonstration. Let's now transition our focus to this next section where we actually have four distinct and important parts. The library section is the designated area where you can conveniently add absolutely anything you desire to incorporate into your scene. I will also proceed to activate this third layer. You can be in virtually any section you desire. And utilizing the incredibly versatile place option, you can effortlessly create almost anything you specifically want from that particular category. For example, if you wish to create a detailed human character or a lifelike animal or perhaps a complex vehicle, indeed whatever specific category you truly need, you can clearly see the various categories meticulously listed above. And there's an absolutely huge and diverse variety of available objects. There are specialized objects designed for interior spaces and distinct objects perfectly suited for exterior spaces, and you can effectively use all sorts of different and unique things. There are also dynamic effects like various flowing fountains, swirling smoke, flickering fire, and any essential items you might need can be conveniently selected from these comprehensive sections. For example, I'll navigate to the dedicated nature section and specifically use a selection of trees. I can precisely select the particular tree I have in mind, whatever specific item you truly want, and then, while still on the active place option, simply click directly in the project area wherever you precisely want to create that chosen tree. Here, I'll quickly create a beautiful tree in this specific section. It's genuinely that easy and straightforward to add new trees or any other object you particularly like. You just need to carefully select it, and right here you can easily create new and exciting objects. With the intuitive select tool, you can effortlessly select your objects and precisely move them wherever you truly want them to be. So with the powerful place tool, we effectively create. With the precise select tool, we carefully select, and with the efficient delete tool, we can instantly remove any item we no longer want. All right, let's go straight to the place tool. We have different options. The single placement option, which is used for placing a single object. Line placement, which is for when you want to place a large number of objects along a path. Cluster mode and paint placement. So these are for when you want to duplicate a lot of objects. I'll come here to this empty area. For example, I go back to the home button, click on example, and open another project. Let's say I open this one. As you can see, we've entered a new project and the space is a bit less crowded. The previous one was really busy. Let's continue our discussion. So we can work with any specific object here. I'll go to the nature section and pick one of these. For example, I'll use one of these plants. When we use the single placement mode, it's this easy to place these objects one by one. If I use the line placement mode, I click and drag, and basically the path I want gets selected and it automatically places some objects along it. I'll remove these because I don't want them. You can delete them by double clicking on these options and add any new items you want. For example, I'll add this one, click the add button, and maybe add another item as well. We click add to meticulously add another individual item, and then I proceed to go for yet another distinct one and click add once more. As you can clearly see, these 4 particular items are being duplicated precisely along the specific path I carefully specify for them. There are several simple yet powerful options available. First, the number of objects that are precisely duplicated along this designated path. Second, the direction option to effectively change their orientation. Third, the randomized option. And fourth, the offset from line option, which essentially means whether these duplicated objects should remain strictly on a single continuous path or if they should be randomly placed with some lateral, varying distance from each other. The randomized spacing option significantly helps to make their spacing appear irregular and more organic, and the randomized direction option makes their rotation irregular, which truly and genuinely helps to make things look considerably more natural and less artificial. If we desire to change the overall shape of the path, we can still effortlessly move the start and end points to new positions. By firmly holding down the control key, we can actually create a brand new point and precisely place it wherever we want it to be. You can also continuously hold the control key in the very middle of the line to create an additional new point and then freely move it around to adjust the curve. If you are completely happy and satisfied with what you have meticulously done, you can confidently click the confirm button to permanently fix and thoroughly confirm your changes. If not, you can simply click cancel right here to discard the modifications. Alright, now I will smoothly move on to explore the cluster mode. Cluster mode is specifically designed for efficient batch placement, particularly when you intend to duplicate numerous objects in distinct groups, which proves to be incredibly useful and advantageous in such specific cases. Again, if you are perfectly okay and content with the arrangement, you can proceed to confirm it, and if not, you can simply cancel the operation. Alright, let me quickly delete these current items, then navigate to these available options and subsequently select the cluster mode. Make absolutely sure to confirm your selection once again. We also prominently feature the pinned placement mode. I will now use a much smaller object, for example, a tiny sphere or a small cube, to demonstrate its functionality. Let me swap its place with this one. Alright, this is good. Any items you want to use, you definitely have to add them to this section. I'll make its size smaller and increase its density so that the number of objects in this area increases. I hold down the click button and start pinning. As you can see, it's duplicating a lot of these objects for me. Again, if I'm satisfied with what I've done, I'll click the confirm button. Keep in mind that if you're using any of these options in older versions, we only had this in line placement mode, but now it's also available in cluster and pin modes in this section, and you can add different options here. Now, if I change this, the work we're doing will happen with this variety of objects, and we still have the same options. Really great. So the different ways we can generate objects are these 4, which I explained to you briefly. It's the same for the rest, it doesn't matter. Whether you want to use placement mode for characters, for vehicles, or for example, there's only cluster, line, and single modes, and then pin is only in the nature section. You can check again, do tagging, or use the other options. I won't go through these again so the tutorial doesn't get too long, since there's nothing special about them. Whatever object you create, it doesn't matter what the object actually is, whatever you create. After you select it, it gives you a comprehensive set of parameters here. For example, for trees, we have various and diverse parameters readily available to us. For vehicles, when you carefully select them, you can easily change the car's color. Let's say, for instance, I make it a vibrant red. You can also change the license plate, and you have the flexibility to choose any country's plate you desire, or even opt to have no plate at all. Furthermore, you can also choose whether it has a driver or not, whether the lights are illuminated or off, and whether the color possesses a metallic sheen or not. So essentially, every single object you meticulously create has its own unique and specific parameters. Very good. Now let's move on to explore the effects section. Let's take a closer look at a few of them. For example, here we have a beautiful fountain effect that you can easily place within your scene. When you want to select something to pick any particular item in any given category, you need to be actively in that specific category to select it with ease and precision. If I'm currently in the effects category, I simply cannot select a car, but if I switch over to the transport category, I can then select the car. I can't select this one, but if I choose the select all categories option, I can select everything or delete everything. All right, let's move on to the materials section. When you import a file, importing files and project files can be conveniently done from the import model section. You can navigate wherever you want. For example, I want to import a file from an external source. I go to the place section, click on import model, and you can then import a model. The models you can import can have these specific extensions. FBX, or for SketchUp software, 3ds Max files are fully supported. 3ds, OBJ, DXF, DWG, these various formats are widely accepted and you can easily import your file. For example, I can import a brand new file. As you can clearly see, we enter this window and can proceed to import the file. Very good, let's observe this together. After you successfully import the file, you place it here. I select one of them and then I can precisely move my object and place it at whatever desired height I want. When you're in the materials category, you can select your objects based on how you've meticulously categorized them in your software and then assign any material you like. Let's review a few materials together and assign them. For example, I select this one, and when the materials category opens, you can easily and clearly see the different categories. For example, I choose plaster. Now the plaster that actually... If you want it to be in its normal state, you can assign a material to it, or any other material you know can be assigned. For example, here I can go to the Nature 3D section, grass, and use this grass material to give it a grass texture or any other material you want. You can easily choose the material you see fit from these categories here, or you can search for the material you want and assign it to the item you have in mind. If you click again on the materials you've created and enter the materials category, you'll access the rest of the parameters, which you can modify. You can also create your own new material if you want. For example, you can go to the new section, assign it a standard material, and enter its parameters. By double-clicking, you can assign your own diffuse texture or color texture, bump texture, roughness or glossiness texture, metalness texture, exactly the PBR materials that exist. The PBR textures that are available, like displacement and opacity, are just like in all other render engines. This feature has been added since version 2024, and you can select them and basically create your own custom material. You can copy and paste materials onto other objects if you want. Working with this environment is really simple. I'll go to the ready-made materials and assign something to it. For example, I'll go to plaster again, or column, or now I'll go to brick and assign a brick material to this. And then I go to its parameters, double-clicking to enter its parameters. Down here, there are some interesting sections. For example, we can come here and say, I can adjust this amount. I create a green cover on it. We can change the color of the leaves, adjust the amount of growth, change the size of the leaves, or alter the material of the leaves. I can go to the weathering section and add some dirt to the material. I can move the texture offset, and if it has displacement, I can increase or decrease the displacement amount, though this material doesn't have displacement. All right, I'll delete this object. the one we imported. I'll go to delete, zoom out a bit to see its marker, and delete it. Now, let's get back to our main project. Oh, sorry, I moved a bit too quickly. Now, if you want to change the material of this project exactly the same way, you can select it and adjust its parameters. For example, right now, let's say I want to carefully and precisely change the material properties of this particular object. So I will proceed to click on it. Once selected, I can then easily adjust its surface roughness, significantly alter its reflective qualities, or perform various other modifications that are readily available and can be accomplished. This is indeed a very practical and highly versatile feature. Let's now move on to explore the other important sections, and we've certainly become quite familiar with the fundamental aspects of materials. I will carefully cancel the specific changes I made. Now let's meticulously navigate our way to the dedicated landscape section. The landscape, as a crucial component, is the very part directly related to Lumion itself, offering a rich array of distinct and highly versatile features. We are empowered to paint it, sculpt it with precision, and it generously provides us with various options for its sides, for effectively spreading elements, and indeed different operational modes that work seamlessly. Through these comprehensive tools, we can meticulously create an environment that perfectly matches the specific conditions we want. For example, let's say I have made a noticeable depression here and I want to have some serene water inside it. With the incredibly useful Create Water tool, I can effortlessly make a beautiful pond and precisely place it here, or I can completely delete it whenever I want. Furthermore, if your project is strategically located by the vast sea, you can readily use the ocean option to realistically create a dynamic sea. Of course, given that the current site elevation is quite high right now, the expansive sea is presently being created far off in the distance. I can incrementally increase the water level a bit, carefully raise it up so the magnificent sea reaches here, and I'll gently bring it forward a bit more. Like this. Because our terrain had a noticeable slope, the intensity view, the waves themselves, and various other important parameters work in this particular way, meticulously controlling the precise shape and the vibrant color of these dynamic waves and our expansive sea. If we do not want it to be active, we can simply turn it off. And there are several other valuable options as well that are actually specifically designed for controlling the foam. For example, we can easily change our foam texture, perhaps by painting different and unique textures onto it, and then subsequently we can precisely control the overall size of that texture with this very useful option. Any texture we carefully select from this particular section, we can effectively change the entire landscape by painting the chosen texture, or we can select grass again, and this brush size conveniently changes the size of the grass for us. Keep in mind that it is generally better to model the main and primary landscape of the entire project in your preferred modeling software. Whatever software you ultimately choose to use, whether it's 3D Max, SketchUp, or something else, it truly does not matter. Model the main landscape yourself and just create the distance surrounding environment and utilize Lumion's own integrated landscape for that specific purpose. Very good. Another very simple and straightforward option is OpenStreetMap, so that we can effectively model a significant part of the urban space directly from the map data, and the landscape grass also automatically generates some basic grass for us on that landscape, which, to be honest, is not always very good. Let us now move on to the weather section, where we can meticulously adjust the weather conditions and our overall lighting conditions. We have sun brightness, where we can precisely control the amount of clouds present in the sky. This is a sophisticated Lumion lighting system, and we can set it to sunset, night, or day, whatever specific time you desire, or any particular geographic location you have in mind. There is also a real sky mode that effectively uses HDRI, which consistently gives much better and more realistic results, so we highly recommend using real sky mode. You do not necessarily have to perform this action here. I will tell you, you can easily do this during the rendering process. Here you can meticulously set up your various cameras. Let us set up a camera together right now. I will go to page 2 and we want to create a new camera together. The way it effectively works is you set the exact view you want to capture, and then you simply press the Store Camera button, and that specific camera view is immediately saved for you. If you need to make any subsequent changes, just press Store Camera again to update it. We have the focal length option, so we can easily change our focal length, and other additional options to precisely adjust the frame dimensions in the new Lumion version, and we can change the camera height by accurately typing a numerical value, And when we reach the desired frame composition, we fix the camera in place and press Store Camera. There is also Custom Style, which significantly helps you quickly reach your desired visual result. The ones clearly labeled RT are specifically for ray tracing, which is one of the exciting new features recently added to Lumion. I am currently using the ray tracing mode, and as you can clearly see, the ray tracing option is applied here as an impactful effect, which you can easily disable for now if you wish to do so. For example, you see I can turn it off by simply clicking on it. Here, there are a lot of effects. In fact, these are essentially presets, a series of predefined effects that are applied to our model. By clicking the Add Effect button, you can apply different effects and change the outcome of your work. For example, if you apply the precipitation effect, it can make the scene rainy or snowy. Just like that, it's that simple. And now, for the parameters and effects you assign, you can remove them by double-clicking on the option. The effects that are blue are because they are from a preset and actually can't be deleted. As I mentioned before, real sky is the sky, and you can add a sky later. Actually, using HDRI, you can click on it and select any other HDRI you have in mind. For example, let's say this one. And if the ray trace option is on, the result will be much more attractive and realistic. So one of the things you really need to spend time on is to go through the effects one by one. They're easy to work with and you can get really good results. To export, I click on Render Photo here and I can actually select different render channels. Those of you familiar with other render engines can choose things like Alpha Element, Specular Element, or other elements. You can also select the size you want, give it a name, and start your render. In ray trace mode, it takes a bit more time to render, and your graphics card's power is very important in this matter, how powerful your graphics card is. The better your graphics card, for example, if you have an NVIDIA 5090, it will render much faster. My graphics card is an NVIDIA C90, and there's still room for improvement in terms of speed. Once our render is finished, we click Open Folder and open the render. As you can see, we have an attractive and quick render. Now, the way we want our lighting to be or from which angle has a significant impact on our final image. We need to test to make sure we have the best lighting conditions in our work. Always try to have shadows and highlights in your renders. Very well, now I'll move on to the movie section and together we'll create a simple animation and see what happens. The overall window interface is quite similar to the previous mode that we explored. We can effectively animate these various cameras within this environment. Let's quickly proceed to create a camera together and observe precisely how this functionality operates. We begin by pressing the dedicated record button, then carefully select a specific frame in our timeline, subsequently clicking the Add Camera Keyframe option, and then we can smoothly move the camera to our desired position. For instance, I might choose to move it forward, or you as the user can implement any other significant change you wish to make. We then click Add Camera Keyframe once more, and a seamless animation will automatically occur between these two designated points over a duration of 5 seconds. I will now press play, and as you can clearly observe, the camera gracefully moves between these two established keyframes. If you desire, you can select yet another keyframe. For example, immediately after this current movement, the camera could smoothly rotate to this particular side, and I will then add this as another distinct keyframe, so the total animation duration becomes 10 seconds, which you have the flexibility to change if you so wish. As you can plainly see, subsequent to this action, the camera commences its rotation towards this specific side. I highly recommend that your individual cameras possess only one primary movement and not two distinct movements. That is to say, each camera cut or segment should ideally feature a single focused movement. For example, for this particular camera, I will set a clear left to right pan, a singular fluid movement just like this. The remaining steps are quite similar to what we have done before. Once again, we click on the custom style option. For instance, this time I will choose the RT Night style. Again, you are free to explore other available effects. There are also various mixer effects that are directly related to animation, which you will need to meticulously check and experiment with one by one. Comprehensively covering all of those is certainly outside the immediate scope of this introductory tutorial. Finally, you possess the capability to render your project with different qualities, varying frame rates and diverse sizes, and then proudly present your completed project. In this comprehensive tutorial, I have endeavored to introduce you to the fundamental Lumion render engine environment in a very simple, straightforward, and quick manner so that you can confidently begin working with it. In future, more advanced tutorials, I will strive to teach each intricate part of this powerful render engine in a more specialized and significantly detailed way, incorporating more professional techniques so you can become even more effective and proficient in your work.